Hey guys, welcome to episode 27 of the P2P Network. Um, Today we're going to be working at organizing a little bit better what we have at the desktop or the network client, in particular the desktop app, so as to organize the structure there because as you can see at the code, we have this web app interface that original idea was coming from um, that the desktop app have in turn has a web app. So this is all the all the stuff coming through this web app are going through the web app interface, and from there is being handled by the network or whatever. But this evolve into having some functionality that is not really well organized in here. So now we are at the point that this is working. At least the main features that we want to be working that are um, following queries like the event, the timeline, that is the biggest query, and receiving posting, and reading the post. These are more or less the main stuff. The other is just reply or whatever. So I want to organize this. So let's see what we can do. We have on the social trading, we have this web app interface. This shouldn't be really here. Um, or yes or no. Okay, we have this social graph that is doing nothing, but probably this is what we have to activate. Then we have this web app interface that is the module that handles the incoming message from the web app. At its current version, it will just forward this message to the network. No, it's connected to. This is not really true because there are things that it does by itself now. Okay, so we need to repurpose this module. I don't like this require here either. Then we have this WebSocket interface. This model handles the WebSocket communication between the desktop app client and the desktop app web app. Okay, this looks that it's not part of the social trading stuff. Both of these two are the problem, in fact, of the desktop app. The desktop app is going to use the social graph service, and it's also going to use some other service like the signal service. So let's try to reorganize this stuff. First thing I'm going to do is to move these two guys into the realm of the desktop app. Not at the UI. Probably it would be what is called the client of the web app if we want to follow the same logic as the platform. You have the UI, the web server, the client, and the platform app. Okay, so inside the client there are some scripts like the HTTP interface and blah blah blah. Okay, including a WebSocket interface and whatever. So what is missing here to follow the same logic is that we have a new folder that we call the client, where we are going to move these two entities, probably these three entities there, because they definitely don't belong here. Okay, they don't belong here. So it's not the platform, it's there. So the social graph is kind of what it belongs here. So let's do that. This desktop client is going to come into here. Okay. Okay, so let's check this out. Desktop modules. I will try to keep the same naming conventions. For example, that we have here. Well, this is called just HTTP interface. And this WebSocket interface. So maybe I will do the same. But for some reason, the modules here are with low letter. I don't know why, but I will keep it like that. Hold on, I will need this guy to search for it later. So HTTP interface, HTTP, oh my god. HTTP interface. Okay. So where is the project schema? Okay, here are these guys. I will start closing everything that I don't need right now. We will call this just web app interface. Okay. Okay, so what else? We need to move now from here, these three guys, and I'm not sure if the modules in here are at the project schema or not. So I will store this here for a while. And let me check this. For instance, the platform HTTP interface. No, it's not here. So it seems that whatever is out there is not part of the project schema structure. That means that platform app is instantiating, is requiring this. Yeah, HTTP interface. Websocket interface. So that means that we are going to copy this into desktop app because this is platform app. Desktop app. Okay. We will also need a web app interface. Web app interface. So in platform app, what we are doing is we put this to run and we let it go. So that is a service that is going to be started and never stop until you bring down the app. So you have something like this. When you want to run it, service No, we don't need to give this. And for the WebSockets, we're going to replace it by this. Probably we can make an improvement here. Instead of putting this inside a variable that is going to die and will not have access anymore, we still can do this and place it at the same place we used to have it. So this would be what we are now calling lately the module reference. Okay, and a similar stuff we can do here for the HTTP interface. Where's the HTTP interface? Doesn't seem to be any. I'm going to change this order because it's logical for me first to have the service that we are going to be using ready, and then the service that is going to be accessed by the web app of our client. Okay, so also this we are going to call it okay. So from here, from here, we are talking about the web app interface. So okay. So now these three things, the HTTP interface, the WebSocket interface, and the web app interface are stuff. This is a problem of and exclusively of the desktop app. Okay, in particular, and not even of the desktop React app because they use something else. In the desktop app original, the one that I started, I have an HTTP server and a WebSocket server that that is exposed to the browser. Okay, and everything that is coming through there is routed to the web app interface that is loaded in this way, and from there we are going to access maybe from there and not from here. We are going to initialize this service, and inside this service is going to be everything that was at the web app interface before. So because we are requiring this is not part of the mechanism of the profile schema, so this disappears. Okay. And I think that we are going to test this to see if this is still working. Okay. So to recap, the desktop app in this case has these two interfaces that are network interfaces plus an application interface on top of that. This is going to run the same way. And the setup of the network is exactly the same as before. We didn't touch absolutely nothing. Okay, so we have the network running. Let's see if this also runs. Perfect. We have the same post than before. No problem at all. No problem at all. So we are all good. So this was the first step, okay? And this was reorganizing desktop app interfaces. Good. This is very good. Now we are here, desktop app. Okay. So the next question is, we are having all these network services at the level of the desktop app. Mm, bothers me a little bit. Maybe I would prefer to put them all together in some other place and move everything a little bit up the stack. Um, this app bootstrapping process, what is this? Okay, it's a network bootstrapping process. Yeah, I'm very much tempted to create a module called peer-to-peer network services and moving everything inside that. And here we would have these network services plus the interfaces. And inside the web app interface, let me think about it. If I put the social graph service, if I put it inside the web app interface, that would mean that all the access to the social graph service is incoming from there, but that is not actually true. When you receive the events from the network, yeah, that is not true. When you receive the stuff from the network, they do come somehow. Social trading modules, WebSocket. What is this? Okay, this is UI. This peer-to-peer network interface. This module handles the incoming message from the peer-to-peer network that are not responses to requests sent. Okay, so how this, for example, an event or a request or a signal, how are we going to deal with this? Look like this is commented. Yeah, so that what that tells me is that the the web app interface is not the place to define the social graph service. Okay, it's not the place, and it's at the social graph service. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a module in here, not in here because it's going to be similar to these guys, peer-to-peer network and whatever. So it's going to be at the network project. But I cannot call it network services because network services again is the social graph and trading signal. So how do I name it? It should be called peer-to-peer network, but for that I already have a guy here. Maybe I should refactor this guy. Represent the peer-to-peer network in this is needed to enable the connection to the current node or to other peer. The main feature here is the array of nodes that we can potentially connect to. This guy should be called peer-to-peer network available nodes. And then I can use this name, peer-to-peer network, to hold all these guys together, separated from the desktop app. Okay, this is how we are going to reorganize this. Okay, So I need first to refactor this. So we need an exact match. You see, the problem is that everybody is repeating this stuff. So the separation is not only a good idea, it's needed. Okay. So we have desktop app, backend, even the network app is using this. Okay, so I'm going to refactor this so that I have I yeah, just do it. Peer-to-peer network. Available nodes. Available nodes or reachable nodes. Reachable nodes. So in order for this to work, we will have to make this refactoring that everywhere we use this, what we are actually needing is this. So this is on one side. We will also need to rename this. Reachable nodes. And here, reachable nodes. Okay, so my guess is that this is not enough. I will need to find all the places where this is being used to make myself sure that this stuff here okay, project schema, all good, all good. So in this case, I will need to find this guide inside of global task constants. Okay, no, I don't need to find it anywhere because there is no previous definition. This is the definition, peer-to-peer network. Okay, so my guess is that the refactoring is well done. And what we can see here is that there is no peer-to-peer network, but reachable nodes. Okay, so we're going to test this by running again this network node. Good. Perfect. Okay. So we'll commit this. And now we are ready to add one more module here that is going to represent the whole peer-to-peer network. It's going to give context to all the other guys. Forgot to turn on my lights. That's why I look so dark. There it goes. Okay. There we go. Okay, so this model represents the P2 network. No, that's not true. But it will be true probably for this other guy. Okay. Okay. So we will put this like this. And we will change a little bit this message. Well, okay. So I don't need you anymore. So what's the deal here? We will need for this guy Okay, so now we have the guy. that will hold all the network infrastructure on the client side. Okay, so any application client side, just initialize this guy and everything is going to be held inside there, and we don't need to repeat a lot of stuff at each application. Okay, so I'm going to clean first the desktop app. Okay, from all the stuff. And maybe, and I'm thinking now aloud, maybe the social graph service is part of this package. Because in the end, the social graph is a network service. So maybe it should be inside there, not at the root level of the desktop app. And for instance, I could tell this at initialization that I want this to communicate with the social graph service. So it would be a social graph network service client. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all these properties inside here. So in here, we are just going to have these guys. And in here, we are not going to have these guys. So much better. So only these guys, and in here, everything else. So that means that this setup network we are going to move it in here. Together with this guy. Just for now, or like this. And in here, setup network, what we are going to have is peer-to-peer network. We are going to instantiate that guy. And we are going to initialize it. Okay, there are some stuff that we will have to take care of. So we set up the peer-to-peer network. Okay, so all of this stuff, we don't need it here. And most likely we don't need even this function, but it doesn't bother me if we have set up the network, set up services. Okay, for sure this service is also going to become, or it's going to be in here, and we are going to move part of this function in here, but removing everything but this guy. Now, this is not the personal social graph, but this is the social graph network service client that will allow us to send queries or events to it. Okay, of course it's not that yet, but it's going to be. So what we've done here is to move this to the other side, so it's not going to be here anymore. So as you can see now, this is the desktop app, very simplified, where we have these modules that are not part of any project. They are just part of the desktop app. We set up the network and we set up the services that I would call these interfaces. Set up interfaces, okay? Because this is what we are doing here. These are interfaces. Set up the network. And now is this super clean. So this is what we call the Dika desktop app. And of course, we will have to work on all these paths that we used to have. Desktop app dot whatever these properties, okay, we will have to add peer-to-peer network in the middle. So desktop app dot not all of them, but for example this. All of this we will need to add now peer-to-peer network in the middle. Okay. So we have another situation with desktop app desktop app peers. This is how we solve it. Then desktop app, peer-to-peer network, peer-to-peer network, blah blah blah, peer-to-peer network. Desktop app, web app interface, that's okay because that is not a network component. Peer-to-peer network, desktop app, peer-to-peer network, desktop app, Websocket interface. Okay, so check it again. Websocket, peer-to-peer network, desktop app, web app interface. Peer-to-peer network, everywhere, peer-to-peer network. Okay, so let's recap. There's something that is still missing. There it is that here we are using this stuff, and this should be a parameter because this peer-to-peer network doesn't know if it is running at the desktop app or wherever. So what we need here is just a parameter here to represent the signing account. So we're going to move this guy to the initialize of the network to use the sign-in account, and this is going to be inside here. So it's quite clean, and that is the reorganization that I wanted to do, to have this very clean stuff with all the network components inside only one module that we call peer-to-peer network. I'm thinking that this guy's name Probably should have been peer-to-peer network client. Well, it's not difficult to change it, but it's true that this doesn't represent the network itself, but it's represent the client infrastructure that you need to talk to the network. Okay, I will make the last effort renaming this into network client. Hold on. Because we are also going to have yes, it's a network client. So here is client, here is client, and here is client. And whatever we have whenever we have this, whenever we have this, we should have client. And wherever we have this, we should have client. Okay, so it makes sense. Now this path looks great. Dika desktop app, peer-to-peer network client, peer-to-peer network client identity. I think it's a good improvement. Okay, what else? This peer-to-peer network client, we have the bootstrapping process that now is on the context of the peer-to-peer network client, which makes sense, and not of the desktop app. We receive the sign-in account that we put it here, and we set up all this stuff and run it from here. So let's see if this continue working. Okay, to check this out, we're going to stop the network. Okay, let's run the network. Good, it's running. Let's run the desktop. Well, to be honest, I'm a little bit surprised that everything worked. I expected to have made some mistakes, but it's working, so we are good. That means that this is beautiful now, and this is much beautiful than before because all the network parts are now in here. Okay, so peer-to-peer network client implemented. Good. Okay, the next reorganization task is about what today we have of the web app interface. This definitely shouldn't be here at all. Okay, the web app interface is a module that handles the incoming message from the web app, and it routes whatever it needs to be routed. Um, Today, it's going to route it to the social graph network client or network service client, but eventually can route it somewhere else. Okay, so it's not a problem of this model to save posts, load posts. That's exactly what it shouldn't be doing. So for solving this problem, we will need at the new module peer-to-peer network client to have this guy running, but with the correct name. Set up services. In this case, it would be set up network services. Network services. Okay, so this is a network service. Okay, so let's get this guy first. Okay, so this is the guy. This model maintain memory person blah 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 blah. No. This is not what this model. This model is going to be repurposed as the social graph network service client. Because now the social graph is a network service at version 2 of the peer-to-peer network service client. So the one who knows how to deal with the network service running at a node is going to be this guy. Okay, we rename this. We will locate this. Okay, so we repurpose this guy, and this is going to be called social graph network service client. Okay. So here social graph network service client. Okay. So now that we have this guy, okay, who is instantiating this guy? For sure it is the network client. So in here we will need this long name, and the same is going to be here and here and here. Okay. Now that this was repurposed, we actually have the network service client here. So we need to move whatever we are doing in here at the web app interface. Almost everything we're doing, we are going to do it what is this? Web app interface, okay. The first thing I would do is to move everything in there. Like, now this is your problem, okay? Good or bad, whatever we have here, now we have it in there. Okay, and that means that the web app interface will not have this and will not have anything of this. And when it receives a message, by the request type, or the message should specify the network service. In fact, we added it. We added that at some place. Network service. If I type it well, oh my god, all that. Network service. Okay, so we're going to delete all this. And we're going to delete all this too. And we are going to request that you tell me which network service this message is intended to. Okay, so the only two options that I will give you are social graph or trading signals. Okay, otherwise I'm going to tell you, sorry, network service not supported. Okay, So that means that I'm parsing the message and also making sure that it's not an incorrect JSON format in here. And from there, I will route it to in this case to desktop app, peer-to-peer network client, and inside of this guy there will be the social graph network service client. And inside there this will be message receive, and I will send the message header. Okay, and in this case I will do similar stuff once we have that implemented. And this is pretty much what I'm going to do here. I think I'm going to await this. And the web app interface got simplified a lot. Because now what's going on, it's not a problem of the web app interface. If it is a message with a network service, so let's check who is sending this dot message receive. Okay, so who should be the one adding this? It is probably the web app itself. I'm talking about the adding network service to the message. Sorry. Yes, which network service are we talking to? I will have to add this to my web app in here. Web app. Message header. Send new post. Event message. We will add to this the network service. Social graph. There should be something very similar for sending a query. Okay, it seems there is one message per staff. Okay, so I think I cover all the places where I need to specify this. So we are requesting that the message header contains, which is the network service that we're going to be dealing with, so that we can route it. And once it is routed into here, what will happen once this is routed into here? We'll have the message. We will be receiving here the message header that is already parsed. And here we do the switch by request type. So that means that all this should work exactly in the same way, because from here we are going to be dealing with, okay, there are stuff that I will need to fix in the next iteration of this reorganization. That is, for example, this. I cannot have these desktop references inside here, because at this point in time we don't we don't know, this code shouldn't be attached to the desktop app. Okay, so there are many places where we will have to solve this issue, but the main point right now is to move this from the web app into the social graph network service. And let's see if what we did now it worked or not. Okay, so again, to test this, I'm going to run again the network, which I haven't changed, to be honest. I'm going to run this again. I will run this again. Okay, and that is not working. So let's check for errors here. Okay, Websocket Interface. So the network, nothing crash. WebSockets Interface, on message, error message. Cannot set property of undefined. So let's debug this from here. I'm wondering if this was initialized. I guess it was. Yes. So not sure what is the problem. Hmm. Yeah, I got a little bit lost because this jumped and I don't know why. Is this awaiting this? Yes. What is going on? Maybe I'm not responding in here. Web app interface. Yeah, I'm not returning the response. So that might be a problem because I just need to return this back so as to for things to actually work. So let's see if that was the problem. Perfect. Everything is working again. The guys I follow, all this working. Okay, now you're good. Okay, so this was a cleaning web app interface. Okay, so it's getting a little bit long. We have cleaned this and it's working. It's beautiful, small. Let's check this title. This model handle incoming message from the web app. It will just route them to the network service client that is going to process them. Okay, and forget about what is going to happen later. It's very simple, and this is just working because depending on the network service you want to talk to, this is going to route the stuff down the line from here. Okay, so next to do, I couldn't finish this all reorganization. The next thing to do will be to remove references to desktop app from inside the social graph client. Okay, that is essentially this what we are seeing here when we see desktop. All this desktop stuff cannot be here, including this. This must be something that we have as a parameter so that this can run both at the desktop app, at the server app, or whatever task server or whatever is out there. Okay, so perfect. I'm going to commit these last changes, and a very brief recap would be that we have reorganized the code in a way that it allows a better organization and reutilization of the code at different um, of different applications that are going to be client of the same peer-to-peer network. With a very good organization there, then we will be able to create any number of different apps reusing all this code and and don't having to worry about a lot of the problems related to how to connect to the network or how to deal with the social graph service that it has some components client side. For example, the posts that are saved and retrieved without going through the network. All that is now encapsulated in the social network service, social graph network service client. So that can be pretty much reused by anybody from now on, and it's not dependent on the desktop app at all. Okay. Um, so that's perfect. And at the next episode, I will be finishing this so that it can actually have total independence from the desktop app. And after that, um, I will take on the next node that I took, that is remove, clean the social persona and social trading bot. That is what is coming next. Okay, so thank you for watching and see you next time.